Hi, I'm Nick Sully. I'm one of the principals here at Shape Architecture in Gastown in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm the principal architect for the fourplex project at 1669 East Georgia. So my inspiration for the project, it's a fairly complex series of inspirations, I suppose. The first inspiration for the project was trying to establish a different type of housing in Vancouver. My wife and I arrived from Europe and got together with another development couple and came up with the idea that there was a place in Vancouver for designing something highly sustainable, highly artful, that we couldn't find elsewhere in the market in Vancouver. And so the inspiration was to take the lessons that we'd learned elsewhere in Europe, traveling around different countries, take the lessons of sustainable design and high performance design and apply those to a local Vancouver context. And so that was the first inspiration, was a place to try and take the lessons that we'd learned elsewhere, but then apply them in a very specific Vancouver context so that we could look at the weather, the sunlight, the rain patterns of this local Vancouver context, and then take all of those different sort of contextual elements and apply them to a housing type that would be specific to Vancouver. So that was the original sort of inspiration for the design. At a more sort of fundamental level, it was this idea that it's important for Vancouver to have high density, livable accommodation close to downtown. And so that was a very important element of the original inspiration for the design. Within 15-20 minutes walking distance of downtown Vancouver, is it possible to design super high performance, sustainable, livable accommodation? And so that was one of the other inspirations. Well, from our perspective, it was Holland, the Netherlands. We spent a lot of time exploring some of the newer residential subdivisions outside of Den Haag and Amsterdam, especially within Amsterdam, Borneo Island. Just incredible sort of housing developments that these guys are doing there. Young families living together in super close proximity with modern materials. Super high performing buildings that surpass anything that we're building here in North America. And when we visited those places, I remember just being so inspired by what the younger generation of architects in Europe were able to accomplish. Sort of throwing out some of the conventions that were sort of tying the hands of traditional designers perhaps in North America and just looking at things in a new way. So it's architecture for the 21st century. So that was very inspiring for us. And then most of the stuff that I did was in the UK, just outside of Birmingham, and then down in southwestern England as well. We did 3,000 new units just outside of Birmingham, which were designed to appeal to an affordable market. So these are houses that had to be sold for £65,000, but houses that were also quite artful in terms of their play with materials and their livability. I think the most important thing that we learned over in Europe is that you can design livable accommodation that's under 1,500 square feet. And that's quite possible and doable. In fact, 1,500 square feet in Europe is quite palatial. One of the reasons that we chose the location that we chose is that I find Commercial Drive is perhaps one of the most cosmopolitan streets in Canada. It's a very interesting place for young families to grow up along a healthy thoroughfare where you can go and buy your groceries at a grocery store and get your coffee from a proper coffee shop and buy your clothes from a tailor. And it's a way of living that I think is important for people to appreciate. So from that perspective, we saw East Vancouver as a very exciting part of the city that would be perfect for this type of a development, progressive, modern development along a cosmopolitan Vancouver street, close to downtown, 15 to 20 minutes bike ride along a major bike route, the Adenac cycle path, and also close to Hastings Street. So from our perspective, working here in East Van, in Gastown, our vision is really to the east. We see that as being a really exciting future area of development. Strathcona, Britannia Woodland, Commercial Drive, very interesting neighborhoods. So we've designed this project to LEED Platinum certification levels, and so the question may be, why would you choose to register it as LEED Platinum? We found that the things that we were trying to achieve on this building, regardless of whether they were LEED or whether they were Built Green certified or what have you, were to such a high level that we actually have way surpassed LEED Platinum on this project. We didn't start off with the intention of registering it as a LEED Platinum building. We started off with the intention of creating the sort of machine for living that was the most high-performing machine for living that you could design given this economy and this context. And then when we applied the rating system to it, we discovered that we actually could achieve quite a high level. LEED Platinum is something new that's come out for the residential sector from the Canadian Green Building Council. When we started the project, LEED for Platinum residential didn't exist, so we didn't really have any intention of registering it. The LEED for Platinum came out after we started the project, and so that happens to be where we've ended up. What's important to us is more, harvesting the rain, harvesting the sun, and making sure that once you put the original energy into this project, it functions in such a high level of efficiency that the energy doesn't escape from the project for a long period of time. So at the end of the day, it's really just about living responsibly, I suppose, in this context. Essentially, what makes a project LEED Platinum? The Canadian Green Building Council, I think it was last year, came out with a new LEED Platinum rating list for residential projects, and it's a number of different credits that you can achieve that add up to give you a different rating, from silver to gold to platinum, or to just certifying the project. Once we ran the numbers, from what we had tried to achieve, we discovered that we were well into the platinum. So some of the things that contribute to a project being LEED Platinum are reducing the construction waste during construction, ensuring that every load of garbage that's taken off of the site is sustainably managed, and requiring our contractor to make sure he keeps records of every single piece of material that goes onto the site. It's things like using low VOC or low toxicity paints and materials so that the air quality within the unit is very healthy. Using passive ventilation to make sure that the number of air changes in the house is at a high level. And making sure that the walls are super high insulated, high performing walls so that you're not actually losing any heat from the project. There's other things like using drought resistant planting so that the impact on the local environment and the watershed is minimized. So the LEED rating system, it tries to look at the project from a number of different ways. From the small detail perhaps of the type of millwork that you're using, whether you're using MDF or whether you're using sustainably harvested wood, all the way to the larger site impacts of what is your impact on the stormwater system of that part of the city. So we're trying to create a building that reduces its impact at both a small scale and a large scale. And when you run through all of the numbers for all of the different decisions that we've made through the project, we come out being sort of a LEED Platinum rating. So that's the long and short of the LEED question.